Gordon gets jammed. It was a busy summer on the island of Sodor. All of the engines were working very hard, taking passengers and vacationers up and down the lines. Gordon, the Big Blue Express engine, was feeling very pleased with himself. Fastest and best, cleanest and fastest and pull the express, he chanted to himself. He always felt very confident when pulling his express coaches. But one thing bothered him. His firebox often rattled as he'd cool down at night, and the other engines enjoyed teasing him about it. Particularly Percy.
Clunk, click, clunk, click. That's what sound your boiler makes, puffed Percy. Knock, 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 chirped Emily. Rattler Gordon is keeping us all awake this evening. She huffed. The only engines keeping other engines awake are engines like you and Percy with very bad manners, thank you very much. My knocking is no trouble at all. Nothing a fitter can't change. Huh, but you're not so splendid now, laughed James. You're right, James, huffed Emily. Gordon's not splendid anymore. He's knocking. Huh, said Gordon. You all aren't perfect either. You think just because your paint's splendid and your wheels are larger, you guys are the best. Ha! But at least we're not making terrible clanking noises, laughed James and Emily. Now, will you stop your clanking and allow us to go to sleep this evening? Right, said Thomas and Percy. Big Blue Express engines aren't the greatest after all. There's no cause to be so rude, said Edward hastily. Now let's all get a good night's rest for our best day tomorrow. I suppose, said Percy, unless Gordon keeps us up. The engines laughed. In the morning, Percy teased Gordon again. Oh, said Gordon. Rattlebox is awake at last, said Percy. Are you going to clank about the rails? He chuffed. Shush, said Gordon. You're right, Percy, said Thomas. I can hear Gordon on my branch line. Impossible, said Gordon. You two don't know what hard work means. Need I say more? Or need I teach you again, Thomas? Said Gordon. Humph, said Thomas and Percy. Rattlebox on the turntable, they chortled together. Gordon ignored them, and he clanked away. He's going to clank all over the main line, said Thomas. Gordon pulled the express to Knapford Station. Fastest and best, he puffed. Cleanest and fastest and pulls the express, he chanted. He wished the other engines would remember that. Gordon clanked into Knapford Station. Lots of engines were there. Wow, I heard you coming for miles, Gordon, chucked Fergus. That's not funny, said Gordon. You don't understand my case. Ooh, I heard you when I was shunting at the coaling plant earlier, said Philip. Then Bertie the bus spoke up. Gordon, I've got a fitter on board. He could take a look at your boiler. I mean, no disrespect, don't you know? None taken, Bertie. At least you're treating this with kind and careness. Then Emily arrived. Oh, look, said Emily. Rattler Gordon's here. He's pulling the Click-Clunk Express. Ha, chuffed Emily. This made Gordon very cross because Diesel overheard. Wow, Gordon, you're rattling a lot like a diesel, said Diesel. You're not so useful now. You'll be made for scrap soon enough, chuckled Diesel. See you later, Rattler. And Diesel oiled away. The engines will respect me, said Gordon. Later, James was at the water tower and Gordon overtook him. James was surprised. Later, Gordon told all the engines to give him a special toot-toot whenever they saw him. Why? Asked Thomas. Because I'm the strongest and the best. retorted Gordon, and he puffed away. "You can toot at him if you like," said Emily, "but I'm not going to," she said. "He doesn't deserve to be whistled at." Emily passed Gordon. Gordon listened for her toot too, but she didn't whistle to him. "She's not respecting me," huffed Gordon. This made Gordon so cross that he raced past the red signal in front of him. And he didn't see the goods train up ahead until it was too late. Gordon wasn't hurt, but he was covered from funnel to footplate in gooey red jelly. "Oh!" groaned Gordon. "I'm stuck now." Then Percy arrived. "Hello, Gordon. I see you're not the cleanest and shiniest engine anymore," he laughed. This made Gordon very cross, but he didn't say anything. The trucks laughed and laughed. Then James arrived. "You won't be pulling the express for a while," he chuffed. Then finally Thomas arrived. "Gordon's a mess, Gordon's a mess. He's the largest and jelliest," he teased. Henry took the coaches on to the station, and Edward shunted Gordon to the works. For the remaining time, Emily and Henry took in turns to pull the express for Gordon. "Pulling the express is hard work," said Emily. "Indeed," agreed Henry. "Gordon must be very strong." Gordon returned to the shed some days later. "I have something to say," said Gordon. "Is it about being fastest and best?" teased James. "Not at all," said Gordon. "I realize that other engines toot other engines because they work hard and deserve it, and not because they ask for it," said Gordon. "But we think you do deserve it, Gordon," said Thomas. "You pulled the express very hard and very long." "And none of us can do it just like you," said Emily. "And I know I pulled the express a lot," said Henry, "but the passengers sure do love you, Gordon. That's something to be proud of." "And I'm sorry I teased you," said Percy. "Your rattle was quite nice." "And I'm sorry I was too big for my buffers," said Gordon. All the engines were very pleased to be good friends again. And now, whenever the engines see each other, they always give each other a friendly toot-toot for the hard work they do on Sodor.